And welcome back. It's been rather a long time since I've done much of anything in my main world here, but given today, I just had to return to it. And besides, contrary to what some may think, I have not lost interest in vanilla Minecraft. Okay, the scene you see here, with the sun rising in the Minecraft morning, the clouds lazily drifting to the north. And yes, the sun rises in the east in this world. And, well, along here, the scene might look a little familiar to some. This is what my world looked like. You'll notice in the upper left-hand corner, in Minecraft Beta 1.3_01. This world is a recreation using the same seed as my world, and it shows exactly what it looked like back when I first created the world. And the little dirt pillar here is where I spawned in that world. Now, as I had modified things and just done some building and whatnot, right next to here, right here, in fact, is, well, actually right there, is where the pressure plate is that leads into the main building, the main base tower. And over there on that mountain is where the original mob tower is now located. So with a little bit of that to get bearings, and oh, by the way, here's a direction reference. Off in the distance you see that little bit of island with the flat piece sticking off the top of it. That still exists in my world now, and this little batch of clay here has never been harvested. So, given that, I will now switch to the current version, the up-to-date copy of my world in Minecraft Beta 1, no, excuse me, not Beta, Minecraft 1.5.1. I'll be right back. And so here we are in that same world as it now exists 2 years later. Right there, that's the spot where that dirt pillar was in the previous clip. And out here, we head out this way. That patch of clay is still there. The ocean has since turned to ice. The little island with the flat piece on it is still there, unchanged for when this world was first created. I kind of miss the way this area used to look. In fact, I miss it quite a bit. I think that when 1.8 happened and the biome code or terrain generation code or something changed and this area turned into a snow biome, it just hasn't really been the same since. I liked it the way it was. There's the mob tower. And yes, I have my initials on the top of the tower in glowstone. I had a Donald Trump moment, what can I say? And of course, there's this tower with the recently added quartz entryway and an area that I managed to fall off of every now and then, with the automatic lighting that comes on at night. And this weird lighting glitch here, I don't know what the heck that's about. That is not a dark block. It is another quartz block. My Ender Dragon egg. My cat that I spent several days trying to catch and finally did, but then didn't have any idea. You know, like a dog chasing a car. I finally caught one, but I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Terrible. Okay, anyway. Okay, that sounded a little loud, so let me check my volume. Drop that down to about 3%. That should be enough. So I thought a lot about what I was going to do for this episode. This episode being kind of special. This March 26th is the 2nd anniversary of my first Minecraft video, which took place in this world. Originally it looked a lot like what you saw in that first clip being recorded in Minecraft beta 1.3 _01, and well, there had been a little bit of stuff done. I was going to break out old backup copies of the world and walk through some of those, but I have found to my dismay that those backups don't work anymore in any version of Minecraft. The files are corrupt and they're unreadable. That is a loss. So I thought maybe that what I could do would be sort of a tour of this world for the 2-year anniversary of its inception. The world actually was created on March 24th of 2011. After seeing a video by Olincelot in which he was showing this new game he'd discovered called Minecraft. And after watching that video, I just had to get a hold of it. And I'll admit that my first copy of Minecraft was, shall we say, just a teensy bit less than legit. But after playing it for an hour, I bought it. So, all's well that ends well. And, well, the rest is history. I got playing with it for a couple of days, and on March 26th, I uploaded my first Minecraft video. It showed the very beginnings of what eventually became this tower. If I'm not mistaken, I do believe the glass wall here, the outer wall, is in the same place as the tall glass boundary that I built around the place to kind of give myself a safe place to work, because I had a major problem with creepers. And so I built that wall to kind of keep them out, and I made it out of glass so I could see what was going on. And yes, creepers did occasionally blow up pieces of it, but as I got more and more of the area lit up, that became less and less of a problem. Bearing in mind that back in those days in Minecraft, I was so totally clueless it wasn't funny. Including right down to things like in my first 10 or 15 episodes, I had music going in the background all the time. And a lot of people pointed out how annoying that was. And, you know, these days I go back and I watch those episodes myself, and I think it's annoying too. So I did eventually stop doing that. And now the only time I use music is in the intro, the outro, and anytime I'm doing a one of those speed up montages of construction or destruction or whatever kind of struction. You know, whatever I'm going to be doing that will be done really fast. Eventually, a few episodes, somewhere around 10 or 15 episodes, somewhere in that time, I got away from the fact that all I was doing was right there in that little base area, which at the time was little. It was literally a hole in the hill with a lot of stuff dug out underneath of it. And I decided to come over this way and explore some caves, the entrances to which I had seen in the side of, well, at the time I called it a mountain. It's not really so much of a mountain now, I got in there. I had some really bad encounters with spiders, a couple of spider dungeons, and a zombie dungeon or two. And I got myself killed several times. I ended up finally retreating from this area back over to there after having lost everything a few times. I made up a new plan. I came over here, and on the top of this little rise over here, I built a small dirt hut, which has since changed and become this little glass and stone hut. And from here, I cleared trees, I moved the path over here, I cleared this mountaintop, and then I leveled it. And back in those days, when you leveled something like that, you did it the old-fashioned way, with a pick and shovel. I flattened the place, and I started working on building an open pit mine. I had this grand idea that I was going to get even with this mountain with what it did to me by digging it all the way down to bedrock. Oh boy, was I a clueless person to even think that. It was a monstrous job. I dug this thing all the way down to this level here that I'm standing on now. And it took me a week and a half playing Minecraft, working the game something like 6 or 7, maybe 8 hours a day, using stone tools for the most part, only making iron tools when I occasionally found iron on my way down digging, which, as you realize, this high up on the y-axis, iron didn't show up very often in Minecraft 1.3. So we're sitting here at Y68, and iron was rare at this level. It happened, but not very often. So then I decided, eventually, I was going to dig a branch mine. I'd done some reading on the Minecraft forums, and I figured out that branch mining was the way to go. So I started digging down here. I got down this far, and right behind that wall, I found my first skeleton spawner. And there it is, still works. I worked on it for a while. And let's see, I still have and I did name it the Lincelot Arrow Factory in honor of Lincelot, who first introduced me to Minecraft. There's the maintenance access area. The spawner is down below here someplace. And here's an access where you can actually watch it. I built this thing based on a design that I saw a co-star use in one of his videos way back then. And this access, I think, yeah, goes over here behind the kill chamber. I need to replace all those torches with glowstone one of these days. I had actually forgotten about this access way. Okay, so after a break to finish the mob spawner and collect a bunch of arrows and bones, I still have a lot of them back down here. Let's see. Yeah, I have a few. They've been sitting here for most of a couple of years. And similarly, lots of bones. Yes, that's a Star Trek joke. Well, after I messed with that for a while, I came over here and I started digging down again. And I got, I think I got down to, let's see, yeah, I think it was right around this level, right around Y12, where I found my very first diamonds. Collected them. I ended up digging the rest of the way down to here. And this is where I started digging the first branch mine. Now this mine, almost every level of it, is a complete mess. Because I was still working out just exactly how to do it. There's places where I got the spacing wrong, or I ran into stuff and had to back away, and so on. And then of course I got a little bit of a change going on, because I eventually did dig at least part of that hole, a 25 by 25 square, all the way down to bedrock, because that's where I built the mob tower. And this is an old classic design. The 25 by 25 darkroom trap with water along all four sides, leading to 4 drop pits into water and a lava death trap. It still works, as you can see. A couple of spiders here to prove it. And so on. It doesn't work like it used to, though, back in the beta days. They changed the mob spawning code. They added bats. And while this thing does work, it doesn't work like it used to. Back in the day, this thing could drop 1,500, 1,700 items per hour without me having bothered to even think about lighting up half of the caves in this area. And I collected a lot of gunpowder in that time. And this isn't even representative of all of it, because there was a point where I used several hundred stacks of gunpowder blasting away an area. But that's neither here nor there. Anyway, sometime, I think it was either late in 1.3 and early in 1.4, I forget which exactly, but sometime around there, it was before I started work on the mob tower, and before the mining base over there had any kind of a minecart track going to it, and before it was anything more than just a dirt hut with some glass windows. Somewhere around there, I decided to get into a little bit of, get out away from this home area a little bit, explore, walk around a bit, see what I could find. And that's when I ended up at a place way down south, down that way. And, well, actually, I'm going to wait just a little bit, because it occurs to me, in my opening clip in Beta 1.3, I showed the sunrise, and it was coming over the ocean from that way. So I'm going to hang out here and wait for sunrise. And here we are, early the next morning, looking off to the east where the sun rose in those early days. But the sun, while rising, is not coming from the east. It's rising in the south. Somewhere in Minecraft 1.8, I believe it was, or maybe 1.9, somewhere in there, Notch, for some reason, decided to change where the sun rose. And he rotated it 90 degrees. I never got the reason for that, and frankly, I don't care the reason for it. It was perfectly fine, rising over there in the east where it always did. And if there was a way to conveniently change the game so that the sun would rise back over there where it used to, I would do so. That would be one mod that I would be very interested in using, at least in this world. Now, maybe a world's created after this, I might not bother. But in this world, that's east. And where the sun's coming up now is south. It may seem a little bit anal on my part, but I don't really care. It's rising in the wrong place, and that just isn't right. Anyway, now that the sun has risen, I'm going to hop a minecart, and I'm going to head down to Gizmo's Island Base, which is the first place I set up shop at other than this original place. I didn't have the minecart track system then. As a matter of fact, while at Gizmo's Island Base, I didn't have much of anything. That was the first real base that I'd set up away from here, and I did a lot of work there perfecting my mining techniques and whatnot, getting a lot pretty good results. And at some point, yes, that's right, it was beta 1.6 when maps were first introduced into the game. I had this glorious idea. I was going to make a compass, a bunch of compasses, and get the stuff together and make a bunch of maps. And I was going to use the maps to navigate my way back to spawn. And have the maps as kind of record of the trip. I got about a fourth of the way and got killed. Never did find where that happened at, so I lost everything there. Ended up finally managing to get back to spawn after a rather long detour going around the wrong way to the west. And sometime after that is when I first started work on the mob tower, I think. And then after the mob tower was going, I headed back down on an expedition to find Gizmo's Island Base again, because I didn't have the coordinates anywhere. And even if they had, when I hit F3 back in those days, in the lower right corner there was this red and green lagometer thing that would eventually crawl up and fill the entire screen, rendering it useless. But I eventually found it. And from there, I mined up a bunch of resources, and I started building this track, headed back towards spawn, connecting the two bases. That was a good 3 or 4 episodes worth of work, a lot of which amounted to several 4 and 5 hour sessions off camera, plus the stuff I did on camera. Anyway, I'm going to kick back and enjoy the ride. And oh yeah, back then, minecarts didn't make any sound. This is another place that started out with very humble beginnings. Oh, doggone it, I forgot about that. This furnace is kind of special. Several versions ago, I believe it's in 1.2 or 1.2.5, I put that bucket of lava in there and started throwing cobblestone in there. And I'm running out of cobblestone. Uh-oh. Of course I don't have any in there. Gotta go get some cobblestone real quick. I put that bucket of lava in that furnace. And since then, every single time I come by here, that same lava bucket is still burning. I have cooked maybe 20, 30 stacks of cobble into stone in that furnace with that one bucket. Let's see, there's got to be some cobblestone down here. This is a mine, for crying out loud. Oh, it's a little bit. And there's some more. Alright. So I put that in there, and I've cooked, like I said, 15, 20 stacks of cobble on that single bucket of lava. And basically what I've been doing since then is that every time I come here, I make sure I pull out whatever stone's in the furnace, I top off whatever cobble's in it, and I keep that thing going. Because I'm pretty well dead sure that if it ever runs out and stops, then that'll be the end of that bucket of lava. And I'd rather not have that happen, so I'm not going to hang around here too awfully long. Let's see, this was the first mushroom farm, well, the only one I ever built. It was based on the design Hypno came up with. In fact, it pretty much is the design he came up with, I think. It doesn't work like it used to. Back then, beta 1.7.3, this design was great for producing mushrooms. Of course, back then, when you bone mealed a mushroom, nothing happened. They changed that. And now this thing is obsolete, and I leave it there just simply out of nostalgia. I mean, it doesn't actually do anything anymore. There's my reed farm, which at some point I supplemented with more reeds along the beach because I wanted to come up with paper faster. This is a pistonized reed farm. There is a problem with it still these days. See, I put these iron bars down the middle to stop the reeds from being pushed all the way over to the other side and landing on the dirt ledge here and kind of jamming up and causing a bunch of loss. And now anytime it fires, well, let's see. Well, let me guess, they fixed it. For the longest time, anytime this thing fired, the piston heads, piston arms would just, they would stay extracted. I guess they did finally fix that. Alright, good. I have to go in there and replace a bunch of glass in the ceiling that I have occasionally broken from time to time when I was trying to break off those phony extended piston arms. I'd have to break them off. It wouldn't mean breaking the pistons. And over there, that is Gizmo's Island, this little floating bit of dirt and sand here, or dirt and stone, with a few trees on it, Gizmo's Island. I named that for my cat, Gizmo, who had died right around that time. Kind of a little bit of an in-game memorial. I figured, what the heck. And so this became Gizmo's Island Base. I had originally intended to just name that island, kind of memorialize it, and then move on and never return. And then 1.6 came along with maps, and I decided to stay, build a base, dig a mine, get the resources I needed, and build up the stuff to go ahead and map my way back. And let's see. It was on returning from here that I finally started construction on the mob tower. And that took a good long while to get finished. It was a major job, and I was really satisfied with myself and the job when it was done. So, I'm going to go ahead and take a nice casual ride back up to the main base, and we'll pick this up there. And so, having returned from Gizmo's Island base, I started work on the mob tower. I got that built, and then I decided I was going to head back down there. Having been back down there and actually knowing the coordinates for the place, I decided to go by way of the Nether, and I built a Nether portal down here. Now, it used to be right down here at the end of this corridor on a level playing field here, so to speak, and then sometime later it got remodeled. I moved it down here. I redecorated the place to kind of look like the Nether had encroached on the real world, so on. But down here, first Nether tunnel, first Nether portal, and a little workstation I built here around it. And along the way, I built this. I had something of an adventure going overland in the Nether, finding where the Gizmo's Island Nether portal was. That's right, I did build one there, and then I came back to main base and built one here, and built this tunnel system going to the thing. This was the first Nether track, as I called it. I didn't have this half-slab trick in place then. And there's times now when I kind of wonder how good it is, because with that in place, you can't jump out of the cart in midstream. So, anyway, I got that built. I had a nice, easy way to get back and forth between the places. That was handy. And then, once down there, somewhere along the way, is when I decided to start building the main overworld minecart track. And I think that track came before the Nether track. And I worked my way back up this way, just laying the cobblestone track bed. Got that all the way back here. And then this area up here used to be the roof of the main base. And I had this fancy glass ceiling on it and all that stuff. I thought it looked so cool. And then in the process of building this station, I figured out how not cool it really was and how much of a pain in the butt it was. Took out all the glass and put in stone. And I got this station built. Spent hours figuring out how to wire all these things together, with them only being one block apart, one block separation between them, so that they would work without interfering with each other. And that required just about every one of them to be wired a little bit differently. It was a challenge, but it finally got working. And this main station was built. I have track switching up here in place for up to 12 tracks, 7 of which are actually in use these days. Because there's the first track down to Gizmo's Island base. The second track goes over to the mining base. The third track heads out to the country estate, which was the next place I ended up going. No, actually it wasn't, come to think of it. I need to run down to that Nether portal. Yeah, that's right. That's right. The time was in the middle to late part of beta 1.7.3, and I went into the Nether, and I decided to find myself a spot far away from any place that I had been in the overworld previously. And a lot of this enclosure was built much, much later, by the way. And yeah. A wither skull? Here? Wither skeleton? Are you kidding me? And of course, if he dropped a skull, it's gone in the fire. Believe that? There's no fortress around here. This area was spawned a long, long, long time before Nether fortresses were part of the game. I should have gone in through the tunnel. Yeah, I should have. Alright. Anyway, I ended up heading out this way. Building a bridge off this direction. Right here there was an intersection because I had mistakenly gone that way when this was the direction I needed to go. So I headed up this way, and I had this plan to build a mob system, a passive mob system that would net me all kinds of goodies. So I calculated where the coordinates for it would have to be. I came out here to this portal, or to this place, built the portal here, came through and ended up here. And this area, no boat here. Okay, no problem. This area was a sort of a hilly snow type area, a hilly snow biome. And the idea here was to build a mob system that was intended primarily to spawn passive mobs. And so one of the things that I did was I came along here, and this is where I used at least 100 stacks of TNT, blasting this place to oblivion. The idea was to remove all the spawnable area. Somewhere along the line, I got the area, all of the spawnable area, all the grass and spawnable area where passive mobs will spawn. Somewhere along the line, I got the idea, hey, why not just go ahead and dig the whole thing down to where it's 1 block below the water level and flood the whole place, except for this base area. And we have here the mob system. I think it still spawns the occasional critter. Comes falling out of there. There's a chicken floating in water up there next to the lava. Up there. And occasionally it drops eggs. Yeah, like so. You can see the items are stacked. I came by here one time and all these pork chops were like this because back then food didn't stack. And so I finally fixed all that. Like after a year or more. Oh good, drop it on the freaking ground. So I got this whole area. Let's see. Let's see if I can get... No, I don't think there is a convenient way to get up on top, and it's not like this is FTB and I can just flip on a jetpack and fly up. But, well, let's see. I've got some cobble on me. And by the way, I came by this area sometime in beta 1.8 or 1.8.1 or something like that. And it was right on this spot, a little bit lower down, that I was taking pot shots at Enderman for the first time. And that was back in the days when they would still pick up dirt and cobble and a lot of other blocks that you didn't want them picking up. But as you can see here, I spent a lot of time, used a lot of TNT, and quite a number of diamond picks, and this is back before enchantments. Just pretty much bombing this place back into the Stone Age. Well, as I said it then, I believe I called it redecorating an early surface of the moon. I think I did a pretty good job. It's just too bad that when 1.8 come along, the mob spawning rules changed and this thing became obsolete because it would no longer work at all. Well, it does work to a degree. Occasionally mobs will spawn up there, but they don't spawn by the same rules they used to. And I even put in a little detector system. I've got those pressure plates down there where the mobs used to drop, and the drops would collect right here, and then this one right here where eggs would fall from the chicken up there. And I set this little thing up here with redstone and repeaters to come along here, and it would actually fire off a sequence of note blocks and light this torch to let me know that something had dropped out of there. It almost never fires anymore. And let's see, I believe it was after this that I started working on the mansion. And so I'm going to go ahead and head out to the mansion, and I'll see you there. Anyway, at some point, early 1.8, I think, no, it was still in the 1.7.3 time, I decided it was time that I built a place that I could kind of call a home type area. I mean, the main base back there was good, but it wasn't home. So I came up here, and up that way is where I started work on the mansion. Now this here, right out there used to be an island there. And as a matter of fact, you can see the remnant of the stone and dirt foundation under it. And you see a little bit of the remnant of some rigging up top there. There was an island there. And while I was working on the mansion, I had this idea. I was using a lot of, I had used a lot of TNT up farther north at that blasting site. And I decided, now this was back when I had like 100, 200 subscribers or something like that. I decided that for my 500 subscriber anniversary or celebration, whatever, that I would take 500 TNT and put them all over that island and blow that island on that day. And I did. I put down 500 TNT, I set off this humongous chain reaction explosion, blew that island all to pieces, and at the time I was recording Minecraft on my laptop, which really didn't do very well. And sometime later I revisited that explosion because I had saved a copy of the world as it was when that explosion was all set up and ready to go. And so I revisited that thing and I set it off again from 2 different angles, and it looked pretty good. But anyway, while I was setting aside the TNT to use for that, I was working on this, was supposed to be a mansion. I wasn't saying anything at the time about what my inspiration for it was, but really, if you think about it, the design of the place was actually fairly obvious, I think. Oh, my first cactus farm, because I needed green dye, and I wasn't getting enough just from whatever, you know. So let's go up here to the observation deck, get a better view. Now, at the time when I was doing this whole thing, this was a just a plain old-fashioned snowy area biome, a taiga biome, I believe it was. These days, well, the place where I'm standing now is river biome, but if I were to be down there where it's a little darker grass, swamp. My beautiful snow-covered countryside turned into a frickin' swamp in 1.8. Which is when it kind of took the wind out of my sails for the construction here of this thing. The first 3 above-ground floors are completed. I never did get started on the below-ground floors. There's two floors below ground in this design. Let's see if I can enter Pearl over there. Ah, about that. Okay. I did get a nether brick trim around the roof here, and you can see that the north portico is finished, and out here you can see where I've got the outline for the south portico. And basically this was supposed to be an in-game scale reproduction of the White House, and I was going to use it for my personal mansion. Never did get any windows in on this level, and it needs them badly. Second level looks pretty good, plenty of windows. Never did get any room partitions put in or anything like that. Here's the first floor. All of my construction stuff. Arrows. Lots of snow blocks. I spent a lot of time farming snow. This was before snow golems. My wool collection. And in building this, I originally made a really bad mistake because I had the north and south sides backwards, so I had to flip them around, tear it down, and rebuild. Used to be every time I come around here, I could expect to see a few creepers off that way and a couple or 3 off this way, but this place has been so lit up since then that you hardly ever see them around here anymore. And then, of course, there's this little barn here, Walmart. And I'm not going to spend much time in here. Basically, what you've got is a barn with 4 each of every color wool sheep. And somewhere along the line, a zombie ate my door. Let's see. Along that way, I went caving one time. Got my butt thoroughly handed to me several times, and I decided to go back there and conquer that place in the way I knew how best. Build a branch mine and mine that sucker to death. And I brought a considerable amount of iron out of it for only having mined a couple of levels. Somewhere along the line, I built this station here. And for a long time, the track to the main station was the only one it had. And I believe, oh yeah, cactus farm still works. How about that? Oh hey, that wither skeleton did drop a skull. Cool. Oh, an ender chest here. There you go. Okay. I believe the next place I went to build after this 1.8.1 had come out, and I finally decided to head out into new territory, 1.8.1, and build something out there where I could get into finding things like the very first abandoned mine shafts and ravines and stuff like that. And so I'm going to head back to the main station and take a minecart out there, and I'll meet you there. And so, 1.8.1, I extended a track headed east. And I came out through here, and all of this area was swamp once upon a time. And I've thought about it, and when the oh, come on. You know, I hate doors. I really do. But when the terrain generation algorithms changed, it was in 1.9. One of the 1.9 pre-releases is when it changed, and my beautiful swamp froze over and became ice plains. It was ridiculous. But before that happened, I built this place. And this design was lifted directly out of a mod that I had spent some time playing with back around beta 1.7.3 called Millionaire, which I believe is a French word for millionaire or something like that. It featured NPC mods, NPC mobs, and you know, villagers and whatnot. They didn't have the bent nose look of the modern villagers and so on. But I built this place modeled after that, or more specifically, modeled after what I turned it into after they built it for me. Because this house, which I forget what the original word for it was, but it translated to English as country estate. So that's what I called it, country estate. I changed the design. I put a lot more light in it than the original design had. It didn't have much light at all, as a matter of fact. The first time they built one for me, I paid them for it. They built the house. I sat by, I watched them build it too. It was pretty cool. And first time I walked in, I had to fight my way in because it was full of mobs, because it didn't have enough light in it. So I worked on that, and I fixed it up, and I put all this glowstone in here. This work area with the furnaces and chests and workbenches, that was part of the original design, as was this other work area down here. That was also part of the original design. And the main bedroom upstairs and so on. This basement was part of it, including these two rooms. This one, I put a portal in. And this one became the entrance to, guess what? A branch mine. I brought a lot of diamonds out of that mine. And a lot of everything else too. And I spent a lot of time around here building on this place, getting the landscape around here cleared and lit up. It was some versions later when I came out here and I set up a cattle farm. I had already built this wheat farm, and the wheat farm, okay, I'm gonna have to get away from, no, just a second. Sounds off. Those cows are too friggin' noisy. It's probably because there's about 400 of them out there. I built this wheat farm. It was based, it's pretty much the same design that Simple Gamers used in a farm that he built. I think I made it a little bigger, I'm not sure. But it's pretty much basically that design with pistons back there controlling a water flow. I hit this lever and the pistons open up and let the water go through it, and all the wheat comes down here for harvesting. And of course, these days, this thing could be modified even more by, instead of having a water stream here, perhaps have an array of hoppers down here to collect all the wheat and direct it into a storage system down below somewhere. I may have to revisit the place and think about that. And this I was kind of proud of at the time. This is the Cluckomatic V1.0. Basically, it's got a dispenser up here with eggs, an area in here to spawn chickens. I think there's like in the neighborhood of 25 or so chickens in there. And I have collected a few eggs. A pressure plate down here with a system here that lets me know lighten up out here. When that's lit, there's eggs on the platform to pick up. And let's see, one of these turns on the dispenser, and the other one activates a crusher to squash the chickens and get me the feathers and the meat and so on. It was a cool design. I didn't come up with it myself. I built it based on a tutorial I found somewhere on YouTube. I don't even begin to remember who originally came up with it. But I built it. I was very proud of it. I liked it a lot. And you'll notice it's built almost entirely of mossy stone brick. Because back then, when stone brick stairs were first introduced, there was this really cool bug with stone brick stairs that if you faced them in the right direction and then break them, they would break down into mossy stone brick. And so I built enough stone brick stairs that when I broke them all down into mossy stone brick, I had a full double chest of mossy stone brick. And I still have a good major chunk of that there. This here is an extension that I eventually built on the farm. It was necessary to feed the cows and all of the pigs that I had back here. I did come back here at some point, and I killed off most of the pigs because half of them had somehow managed to escape, and they were roaming all over the friggin' place. Sometime I'm going to have to come in here and get rid of most of the cows, but I'm not going to bother with it right now. And along the way, I was looking for abandoned mine shafts and stuff and whatnot, caves and so on. I found a cave system there's a river down there. It's frozen over now, but there was a river down that way, and it went over there and connected into, there was a cave system there, and it connected into where there was abandoned mine shaft, the first one I ever found. And this used to be the stairway down to it. It doesn't go all the way anymore, I don't think, because I've since redone it considerably. It's only still here because it still connects to the original mine shaft. Not all of which has been explored. And I'm not going to bother right now. Okay, here we go. Alright, so this stairwell used to go down there. I eventually blocked it off because I came up with a better way to get in down there. And I'm going to head down there because I spent a fair amount of time down there working on some things. I found some spawners, and I did set one of them up as a mob farm. I think I left the other one there. There we go. And this is the new entrance that I eventually put in. I've got lava behind iron bars for lighting. There's no torches anywhere on this corridor. I've got slabs, alternating hole blocks and slabs, so that I can actually take this thing at a sprint in either up or down direction. And down here, this is one of the spawners I found. I never did anything with it, just leave torches around it. Let's see. In here, down here as a matter of fact, is a skeleton spawner. There is a switch to turn it on and off, lighting and whatnot. And here is for the lava blade to, I can either have this thing just be an item farm to pick up items from, or I can turn the lava blade off and get experience from it. And this lever turns the farm on and off. And let's see, not a whole lot here right now. This was the first place that I did any serious farming of experience for enchanting. Got a bunch of bows from the skeletons. Some of them enchanted, most of them just power 1s. And so on. Eventually I built a portal here, and I can actually go into a portal here and go through to another portal and come out in the house over there. Up here I decided to try doing a automatic reed farm, and the way this works, there's a bud switch back there in the corner that when that last bit of reed grows, it activates these pistons, breaks off all the reeds, throws them against the iron. Oh, there it goes. How about that? All the reeds end up down in the middle. They go down here and through a water stream under this, and they end up coming out right next to the AFK spot at that mob farm. And I've got another one here. And at some point, I know I started work on another one directly above this first one. To kind of increase production. I got the area cleared out, but I never got any further with it. And I'm not entirely sure why even. But something came along, I got distracted and got working on another project, and this became yet another project that kind of got abandoned and sitting in limbo. I may or may not someday come back and finish it. I don't know. So, got all that. And let's see, let's go ahead and pop through here. Okay, this is the portal that, this portal, the other side of this comes out in the basement of the country estate. And I was able to have them so close together like this because I worked out the exact math for how to make the portals work. Let's see. There is a lot of places to go yet. I haven't even begun to cover this, and I know I've gone on for an hour or more. So I think what I'm going to do is, since this episode is now at least an hour long, I'm going to go ahead and cut it off here and pick up this tour here, and we'll continue this tour, this 2-year anniversary tour, in the next episode. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. I'm out of here.